I keep thinking there has to be a clean way to tell this. A straight line from before to after. But the truth is, it happened in a bunch of small steps. The kind you don't notice while you're taking them. You look up one day, and you're somewhere you never meant to be. When people ask about my sister, they always start with the same things. Was she quiet? Was she bullied? Was she into weird stuff? They want a simple story they can understand without feeling sick. Ellie wasn't quiet. She could talk for 10 minutes to a cashier about nothing. She wasn't bullied, not in the way people mean when they say it. She got teased sometimes, same as anyone. And the weird stuff, if you mean cartoons and online fan pages, then yeah. But so did half her class. We grew up in a normal house on a normal street. My dad kept a neat lawn and fixed things that broke. My mom worked part-time at a dental office and kept lists on the fridge. We weren't rich and we weren't struggling. We were the kind of family you forget about as soon as you drive past. Ellie was 2 years younger than me. She was the one who always got away with leaving her shoes in the hallway because she'd laugh and say sorry in a way that made you feel bad for being annoyed. She hated being alone. She'd sit in my doorway and talk while I tried to do homework. Sometimes I'd tell her to get out and she'd act offended for about 5 seconds, and then come back with a snack and keep talking. Her thing, the one she stuck with longer than anything else, was this cartoon she found online. It was not a big deal at first. I remember hearing it from her room. The same cheerful music loop and the same silly voices. She'd laugh at it like it was the funniest thing in the world. If I asked what it was, she'd roll her eyes and say, "Nothing you'd like." The cartoon was bright and simple. Most of it was animals that wore clothes and did little skits. Some of it was obviously meant for kids, but it had those jokes that were aimed at older people too. Ellie would show it to Mom, and Mom would smile and say it was cute, and then go back to whatever she was doing. The character Ellie loved was a fox. Orange fur, big grin, little black nose. He wore pants, like actual trousers with a belt. That was the joke in the show. Why does this fox need pants? He had a tiny vest too. He was always the one starting trouble in the stories. Always talking fast. Always getting away with stuff. Mr. Foxy Pants. Ellie would say his name like it meant something. Like it was a real person. She drew him on the back of her notebooks. She made little paper versions and taped them to her wall. When she got old enough to have her own phone, her lock screen was Mr. Foxy Pants grinning, hands on his hips. I didn't care. I had my own stuff. I played games. I went out with friends. I tried to be invisible in school. Ellie was Ellie. I'm telling you all this because later, when it came out what happened, people acted like Ellie must have been like that forever. Like the signs were obvious, and we ignored them. There weren't signs, not until there were. It started with her phone. Ellie got it for her 14th birthday. She'd been begging for a year. Dad made a whole show of it, holding the box behind his back, telling her she'd never take care of it, making her promise she wouldn't be on it at dinner. Ellie jumped around like she was 6 again. When she turned it on, she sat at the kitchen table for hours setting it up, hunched over like she was guarding treasure. For a while it was normal. She took selfies and made short videos of our dog. She joined group chats with her friends. She got into some app where you could put filters on your face and look like a bunny or whatever. Mom complained about her being glued to it. and Ellie would do the thing where she'd groan and say, "I know," and then keep scrolling. Then she found a fan group for the cartoon. I only found out because she started saying words I didn't recognize. Canon. Ship. Headcanon. She'd talk about episodes that weren't on the main channel, like secret ones. She'd show me edits people made of Mr. Foxy Pants, where they'd put sad music over clips and act like he was some tragic hero. I'd tell her she was weird. She'd say, "You're boring." One night when I walked past her room, I heard her laughing, not at the cartoon, but at someone on a call. I paused because it sounded like she was trying not to laugh too loud. Her laugh had changed. It wasn't the loud, careless one. It was quieter and sharper, like she was hiding it. I knocked once just to be annoying. She snapped, "Go away." That was the first time I remember her sounding angry at me for no reason. She came out of her room an hour later looking flushed, like she'd been running. She went straight to the kitchen and drank from the tap like she was thirsty in a way water wouldn't fix. "What's up?" I asked. "Nothing." She wiped her mouth with her sleeve. "Just talking." "To who?" She shrugged. "Friends." I didn't push. I wish I had, but that's easy to say now. After that, the phone was never out of her hand. She'd go to the bathroom and stay there long enough that Mom would knock and say, "Ellie, are you alive?" Ellie would say, "Yes," in this flat voice. She started sleeping with the phone under her pillow. I know because I saw it once when she flopped onto my bed and begged to borrow my charger. "Why are you always on it?" I asked. She looked at me like I'd asked why she breathed. "Because people are on it." "What people?" "People." She rolled her eyes. "It's not that deep." Dad tried to clamp down. He took the Wi-Fi password off the fridge. He made rules about screen time. Ellie nodded and said okay, and then found ways around it. She'd tether to someone else's hotspot. She'd go to the library after school to study and sit in a corner with her earbuds in. Mom tried softer. She'd ask Ellie how she was feeling, if school was okay, if someone had said something. Ellie would say, "I'm fine," and go back to her room. Ellie got good at shutting down questions. It wasn't dramatic. She didn't slam doors. She just went still, like she was somewhere else. I remember the first time she told me about Mr. Foxy Pants like he was more than a character. It was a Saturday. Dad was mowing the lawn. Mom was doing laundry. I was in the living room half watching some dumb video on my laptop. Ellie came in and sat on the arm of the couch, too close. She smelled like strawberry shampoo. "Can I tell you something?" she said. I didn't look away from the screen. "You just did." She kicked my knee. "I mean something real." I glanced at her. She was smiling, but her eyes were wide and kind of shiny, the way people look when they're keeping a secret that feels bigger than them. "What?" I asked. She leaned in. "I met someone." My first thought was that she had a crush. Ellie had never had a boyfriend, but she'd had crushes on boys in her class. She'd draw hearts in the margins and then tear the paper out and throw it away. "Who?" I said. "Not like that," she said, and her smile got bigger. "Online." "Okay. Listen." She lowered her voice like our parents were spies. He's kind of famous in the community." I groaned. Ellie, please don't tell me you're talking to some 30-year-old who makes cartoon edits. She slapped my arm. No, shut up. He's not like that. He's him. Him who? She took her phone out and unlocked it fast, like she'd practiced. She opened some app I didn't recognize. It was a chat screen, dark background, neon icons. She shoved the phone at me. The name at the top of the chat was Mr. Foxy Pants. I stared at it, waiting for the joke. Is this like a role-play thing? I asked. Ellie's face tightened. No, he's real. I laughed because that was the only thing my brain knew how to do. Ellie, it's a cartoon fox. He's not a cartoon. Her voice went sharp. He's not from here. He's visiting. I looked back at the chat. There were messages. A lot of them. Ellie scrolled up and down like she wanted to show me everything, but also didn't. Most of the messages were normal at first glance. Stuff like, "You did a good job on that drawing. You understand me better than most. You're special." The kind of garbage you see in every warning video about strangers online. But mixed in were these odd lines that made my skin prickle, even then. You know the house smells like lemon soap. Your brother doesn't close his door all the way. Your mother hums when she folds towels. Ellie watched my face, waiting for me to be impressed. How would he know that? She whispered. Like it proved something. I swallowed. Ellie, anyone could guess stuff like that. No, he didn't guess. She pointed at one message like it was evidence in court. Look, he knew what Mom made for dinner last night. I read it. The chicken was dry, but you ate it anyway to be polite. That was true. Mom had overcooked it, and Ellie had still eaten without complaining. A cold feeling slid through me. Did you tell him? Ellie shook her head too fast. No, I didn't. I didn't even mention dinner. Then how? He sees, she said. What does that mean? It means he's really him. She hugged the phone to her chest. He's Mr. Foxy Pants. He's just in real life. I wanted to tell her she was being stupid. I wanted to grab the phone and block the account and tell Mom and Dad. But I was 17 and lazy and used to Ellie being dramatic. And part of me didn't want to deal with it. So you're talking to some creep who's pretending to be a fox, I said. Cool. He's not a creep, she said, offended. Okay. What does he want? Ellie's cheeks went pink. He likes me. That's what they all say. She stood up, sudden. You don't get it. Apparently not. She hovered, like she wanted to say more, then stormed out of the living room. After she left, I stared at the blank video on my laptop and felt weirdly tired. I told myself it was nothing. Ellie had always been intense about whatever she was into. A few months earlier, she'd been obsessed with some singer and had cried because she couldn't go to a concert. Before that, it was a manga series. She'd move on. I also told myself that if it was a creep, Ellie would know. She wasn't a little kid. She'd roll her eyes at those school assemblies about online safety like everyone else. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't want the fight. I didn't want Dad snatching Ellie's phone and yelling and Mom crying. I told myself I'd keep an eye on it. That was my first lie. The next week, Ellie started carrying the phone like it was fragile. She held it with both hands. She wiped the screen on her shirt constantly. She'd check it in the middle of sentences. She stopped drawing as much. The notebook stayed blank except for scribbled foxtails and belts. At dinner one night, she laughed suddenly at something on her phone. Dad frowned. Put it away. Ellie did, but her smile didn't go away. She looked like she was listening to someone whispering in her ear. Mom asked, "What's funny?" Ellie said, "Nothing," and started eating too fast. After dinner, I followed her to the hallway. "Ellie," I said. She stopped, hand on her doorknob. "Is that guy still messaging you?" Her eyes flicked up. "It's not a guy." "Whatever. Are you still talking?" She smiled in a way that made me uncomfortable. "He talks to me. I listen." "That's not." She opened her door. "You wouldn't understand." The door closed gently, which was worse than if she'd slammed it. A few days after that, I came home from school and found Ellie in the kitchen, alone. She had a plate of crackers in front of her, and she wasn't eating them. She was holding her phone and staring at it like it was a wound. "Hey," I said, dropping my backpack. She didn't look up. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Nothing." I walked closer. "Ellie." She flinched like she hadn't heard me. She shoved the phone screen down on the table too fast. I sat across from her. "Are you okay?" She pressed her lips together, then said, "He's mad at me." I felt my stomach drop. "Who?" She looked at me like I was slow. "Mr. Foxy Pants." "Why?" She hesitated. Then she said very quietly, "Because I lied." "What did you lie about?" She picked at a cracker until it crumbled. "I told him I didn't hate them." "Them who?" She raised her eyes to mine. They were red, like she'd been crying but tried to hide it. "Mom and Dad." I sat back. "Ellie, what are you talking about?" Her fingers curled into the crumbs. "I don't hate them. Not really. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I feel like they're not my parents. Like they're wearing my parents." I stared at her. "Stop." She shook her head like she couldn't. "I know it sounds stupid, but he said he sees it too." "Who said?" "Mr. Foxy Pants." She swallowed hard. "He said he can tell when someone isn't real, when they're pretending. He said some houses get replaced." I felt a heat rise in my face. "Ellie, he's messing with you. He's messing with your head. You don't know." "I do know." My voice came out harsher than I meant. "This is not real. You're scaring yourself." She pulled her hands back from the crumbs and wiped them on her shorts like she was disgusted by them. "He's not messing with me. Ellie, people online will say anything." She leaned forward. Her voice got small. "He told me things." "What things?" She looked around the empty kitchen like she expected someone to be listening through the vents. "He told me what you did." My throat tightened. "What did I do?" She said it in a flat voice. "When you were 12 and you stole Dad's 20 from his wallet and you bought those stupid trading cards and you hid the wrapper in the trash under the coffee grounds." My stomach flipped. I didn't say anything. Ellie watched me, almost triumphant, like she'd won. "That's not something someone would guess," she said. "No," I whispered. She nodded. "So he's real. He's here." I tried to breathe normally. "Ellie, you told him that. Or someone told him. Maybe your friends. Maybe he found your stuff. It doesn't mean he's a fox." She smiled again, gentle this time. "You're not listening. He told me because he wants me to understand him. He said you have secrets too. Everyone has secrets. He said secrets are like pockets. I didn't like that." She reached across the table and grabbed my wrist. Her hand was cold and sweaty. "He wants to meet me." "No." I pulled my wrist away. "No, Ellie. He wants me to prove I'm serious." I stared at her. "About what?" She looked down at her plate. "About seeing what's real." I should have gone to my parents right then. I should have said, "Ellie's talking to someone who knows things about us. I'm scared." But I didn't. I still thought it was some weird prank or some online thing that would burn out. I still thought I had time. That week, Ellie started filming everything. At first it was harmless. She filmed the dog sleeping. She filmed Mom making coffee. She filmed Dad working on the car. She'd hold the phone steady and stare at the screen like she was checking for something. Mom would laugh. "Are you making a movie?" Ellie would smile and say, "Just documenting." Dad told her to stop filming him. Ellie stopped, but she'd film him anyway when she thought he wasn't looking. One evening, I came into the living room and saw Ellie sitting on the floor with her back against the couch. She had headphones on. Her phone was propped up against a book. On the screen was an animated fox wearing pants. I recognized Mr. Foxy Pants from her drawings, but the clip wasn't from the normal cartoon. The colors were darker. The fox's smile looked stretched. He moved too smoothly, like someone had redrawn him. Ellie's face was blank, almost calm. "What are you watching?" I asked. She didn't respond. I leaned closer. The fox on the screen was talking, but Ellie's headphones covered the sound. I could see subtitles. They weren't the normal cheesy dialogue. "You have to clean the house. The house is dirty. The house is lying." Ellie noticed me and yanked one headphone off. "What?" I pointed at the screen. "What is that?" Her eyes flashed. She grabbed the phone and turned it off. "Nothing. It's not nothing. It's just a video." "From who?" She stared at me, then said, like it was obvious, "From him. Mr. Foxy Pants." She nodded. "Ellie, this is..." I didn't know what word to use. Creepy sounded too small. She stood up. "You're not supposed to see that." "Why?" She pressed her mouth into a line. "Because you'll make it weird." "It is weird." She walked toward the hallway. "You ruin everything," she said, and it wasn't playful. It landed heavy. A week later, she cut her hair. Not a normal cut. She took scissors and hacked at it in the bathroom. It looked uneven and jagged. When Mom saw it, she made this sound like she'd been punched. "Ellie," she said, "what did you do?" Ellie shrugged. It was getting in my eyes. Mom tried to stay calm. We could have gone to a salon. Honey, you have to tell me before you... Ellie snapped. It's my hair. Dad came in, saw Ellie's hair, and his face went tight. What is going on with you? Ellie stared at him. Nothing. Dad's voice got louder. Don't talk to your mother like that. Ellie's eyes flicked to Mom, then back to Dad, like she was watching a show. Okay, she said. But she didn't look sorry. She looked like she'd been waiting for the fight. Later that night, I heard my parents arguing in their room. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew the tone. Mom crying. Dad trying to stay calm and failing. I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling, listening. I thought about going in and telling them about the messages, about Mr. Foxy Pants. I pictured Dad taking Ellie's phone and smashing it. I pictured Ellie screaming. I did nothing. The next day, Ellie acted normal. She joked at breakfast. She helped Mom carry groceries. She asked Dad to take her to the mall. For a few hours, I let myself relax. Then I saw the bruise on Mom's arm. It was just above her elbow, dark and shaped like fingers. Mom noticed me looking and pulled her sleeve down. I bumped into the cabinet, she said too fast. Okay, I said. I watched Ellie across the kitchen. She was spreading peanut butter on toast, humming. I tried to tell myself it meant nothing. 2 nights later, Ellie knocked on my door. I was half asleep. I said, "What?" She slipped in without waiting. The light from the hallway behind her made her face look pale. "I need you to do something," she said. "What time is it?" I mumbled. "Doesn't matter." She shut the door. I sat up. "Ellie, go to bed." She took her phone out. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was calm. "I need you to watch something." "No. It's important." I rubbed my eyes. "What is wrong with you?" She came closer and held the phone up so I couldn't look away. The screen showed a video. It was dark at first, then the camera adjusted. I recognized our kitchen. The angle was from the doorway, like someone was standing in the hall filming. In the video, Mom was at the sink, washing dishes. She was wearing the same pajama pants I'd seen her wear that night. Dad was at the table, reading something on his tablet. The video had no sound. Ellie's hand moved into frame, holding a knife. My stomach dropped hard. "Ellie, watch," she whispered. In the video, Ellie walked into the kitchen. Mom turned and smiled, maybe because she thought Ellie wanted water. Ellie raised the knife. I jerked back like I'd been hit. "Stop it." Ellie didn't stop. Mom in the video kept smiling for 1 second too long, like she didn't understand. Then her smile collapsed. Ellie brought the knife down. There was still no sound, but I could see Mom's mouth open. I could see her body jerk. Dad stood up so fast his chair fell. Ellie turned toward him. The camera followed, shaky. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I grabbed Ellie's wrist, tried to pull the phone away. "Turn it off." Ellie's grip was stronger than I expected. She held the phone steady, her eyes glued to the screen. On the screen, Dad reached for Ellie's arm. He grabbed her wrist. He tried to wrestle the knife away. Ellie moved like she was dancing, quick and practiced. She stepped back. She swung. Dad's face went slack like someone had switched him off. He fell against the table, then slid down. Mom was on the floor. Dad was on the floor. Blood was everywhere, black in the grainy camera view. I heard a sound and realized it was coming from me. I was making this small, wet noise, like an animal. Ellie lifted the phone higher, so the camera caught her face in the reflection of the oven glass. Her face in the video was calm like she was taking a photo for school. Then she walked toward Mom, crouched, and aimed the phone down at Mom's eyes. I couldn't look. I covered my face with my hands. Ellie's voice was right next to me, whispering, "He wanted proof." I forced my hands away and looked again, stupidly, like I could make it not real by staring harder. On the screen, Ellie held Mom's chin and turned her head like she was posing a doll. Then she turned the phone so it filmed the kitchen wall. A message popped up on the screen mid-video, like a notification overlay. "Mr. Foxy Pants, good girl, keep recording." My chest felt like it was cracking. I grabbed Ellie's shoulders. "This isn't funny." Ellie looked at me finally, and I saw something in her eyes that made me let go. Not anger, not excitement. It was like she was empty, like someone had scooped her out. "It's not funny," she agreed. I stared at her. My voice came out thin. Did you do that?" She nodded. I waited for her to laugh, to say it was a joke, that it was fake, that she'd edited it. She didn't. She said, "They weren't them." The room tilted. I heard the house settling around us, the hum of the fridge, the distant sound of a car on the road. Everything normal. Ellie sat on the edge of my bed like she lived there. "You're lying," I said. Ellie's expression didn't change. "I'm not." I shook my head so hard my neck hurt. "Where are they?" Ellie looked toward my door like she could see through it. "In the basement." I stood up too fast and nearly fell. "What?" "I put them there. I felt like I might throw up." Ellie's voice stayed calm, like she was telling me she'd put away laundry. "He said to keep them cold. He said it helps." I backed away from her until I hit my desk. "Who is he?" I whispered. Ellie smiled, small. "He's Mr. Foxy Pants." "No, who is he really?" She frowned like I was being annoying. "He's a fox. He wears pants. He's smarter than everyone. He knows how things work. He knows how to clean." I felt dizzy. Ellie held her phone up again. The video was paused on a frame of the kitchen floor. The camera had caught Dad's hand, fingers curled, blood smearing the tile. "I sent it," she said. My voice was shaking. "Why are you showing me this?" Ellie looked almost shy. "Because you're my brother." That made something inside me snap. I lunged for the phone. Ellie jerked back, fast. The phone slipped out of her hand anyway and hit the floor with a heavy thud. The screen didn't crack. I grabbed it. My hands were shaking so much I could barely hold it. Ellie's face hardened. Give it back. I didn't. I stared at the screen, at the video, at the message from Mr. Foxy Pants. I hit the back arrow, and it went to the chat thread. There were so many messages. I scrolled. I saw Ellie's texts. I can do it. I can prove it. I saw his replies. You have a strong stomach. That's rare. They will beg. Don't listen. The house will try to trick you. Record everything. I want to see. I want to hear. Ellie's messages were messy and full of typos. Her voice. His messages were neat. No emojis. No typos. Short, confident lines. I felt like I was reading something I wasn't supposed to read. Like a diary. Then I saw photos. Ellie had sent him photos of our kitchen, our hallway, Mom's jewelry box, Dad's tools. And he had sent her images back. Not normal images. They were drawings of Mr. Foxy Pants, but the style was different from the cartoon. The fox's eyes were darker, almost human. His pants were too tight in a way that made my skin crawl. His grin was wrong. One image showed him standing in a doorway holding a phone, like he was filming. Another showed him with his paw on someone's shoulder, guiding them. I scrolled faster, heart pounding. Ellie tried to snatch the phone, but I stepped away. "Who is this?" I said. Ellie's breathing got quick. "You're going to mess it up." "Ellie, listen to me." My voice cracked. "We have to call Mom. We have to call Dad. We have to call..." Ellie laughed once, sharp. "Call them?" I froze. She looked at me like I was a child. "They're done." I stared at her. "Give it back," she said, quieter. I backed toward my door. "I'm going downstairs," I said. Ellie's eyes widened. "Don't. I have to see." Ellie moved in front of the door. "You don't?" I tried to push past her. She shoved me harder than I expected. My shoulder hit the wall. "Stop," she hissed. I stared at her, panting. "Ellie, what did you do?" She pressed her palm to her forehead like she had a headache. "I did what he said. I did what was right." "Right?" My voice went up. "You killed them." Her face twitched, like the word killed landed wrong. I cleaned. I felt tears in my eyes and hated myself for it. Ellie's gaze dropped to the phone in my hands. "He's going to be mad," she said. "Good." She shook her head. "You don't get it." "Then explain it." Ellie's mouth opened, then closed. For a second, she looked like the Ellie I knew, like she was about to burst into tears and say she didn't mean it. Then her phone buzzed in my hand. A new message. "Mr. Foxy Pants. Don't let him take it. He'll try to stop you. He'll try to keep the house dirty." My blood ran cold, because it was in the present tense. He was watching. Ellie's eyes flicked to my face, then to the phone. She knew. She said very softly, "See?" I backed away, gripping the phone like it could protect me. The hall light flickered once. I don't know if it actually flickered or if my eyes did something weird. I just remember it changing for a second, like a blink. Ellie moved toward me. "Give it back." "No." She reached for it again. I pulled away. Her hand shot out and slapped me. It wasn't hard. It wasn't dramatic. But it made the moment real. It made me understand she wasn't playing. I stared at her, stunned. Ellie looked just as surprised as I was, like she hadn't meant to. Then her face settled back into that calm emptiness. "I have to finish," she said. "Finish what?" Ellie's eyes went distant. "Cleaning." I didn't wait. I shoved the door open and ran. I ran down the hall and almost fell down the stairs. The house felt different, like it was holding its breath. Every sound was too loud. My feet, my breathing, the squeak of the stair. At the bottom, the living room was dark. The TV was off. The air smelled like the leftover dinner Mom had made, cold and sour now. I ran to the kitchen. The kitchen looked normal. The table was clean. The chairs were in place. The counters were wiped. But the tile floor, there were spots on it that had been scrubbed badly. Not stains exactly, but a dullness, like someone had used the wrong cleaner. I took a step and my shoe stuck slightly, like the floor was still tacky. I felt my stomach twist. I went to the back door and tried it. Locked. I went to the front door. Locked. The windows were shut. I heard Ellie's footsteps on the stairs. I spun and saw her in the hallway, walking calmly, like we were playing hide and seek. I held up the phone. "I'm calling the police." Ellie stopped. "No." I hit the emergency call button. The screen changed, the keypad showing. My fingers hovered. Ellie didn't run at me. She didn't scream. She just said, "He said you would try." The phone buzzed again. "Mr. Foxy Pants. Tell him he can't. He's scared. Scare him back." I stared at the message. Ellie took a slow breath. Then she said, in a voice that didn't sound like hers, "You're in my way." I backed up. Ellie walked into the kitchen. In her hand was a knife. I hadn't seen where she got it. It was just there, like it had always been. My mind screamed at me to move, to run, to do something. But my body felt heavy, stupid. "Ellie," I whispered. "Please." She looked at me like she was trying to remember a word. "He likes you," she said. "He said you're useful." "What does that mean?" She tilted her head. "It means you can watch." My chest tightened. "I don't want to watch," I said. Ellie's eyes flicked to the phone. "He does." She lifted her own phone, the one I had knocked earlier, from the kitchen counter. I hadn't even noticed it there. She held it up in selfie mode. The screen reflected her face and the knife. She tapped something. A red dot appeared. Recording. Ellie smiled at the screen. "Hi," she said softly. Her voice sounded wrong in the quiet kitchen. She pointed the camera toward me. I stumbled back, bumping into the counter. Ellie said, like she was narrating a cooking video, "This is my brother. He's been in the way, but he's going to understand." My throat went dry. I ran. I ran into the living room and nearly tripped over the rug. I grabbed a lamp off the end table because I didn't know what else to grab. Ellie followed, still recording. "Ellie!" I shouted. No answer. The phone in my hand buzzed again. Mr. Foxy Pants. Don't hit her too hard. She has work to do. I couldn't breathe. Because it wasn't Ellie saying those words. It was someone else. Someone who knew exactly what was happening in my house. Ellie stepped into the living room and turned the camera back to herself. "He's scared," she said, like she was reporting weather. "He's going to stop being scared." I raised the lamp. My hands were shaking. Ellie smiled at me, almost sweet. "If you break the phone, he'll still see." "What?" She glanced at the ceiling, at the corners of the room, like she could see something I couldn't. "He sees through everything. He likes the house." I looked around, wild. The smoke detector, the TV, the dark window. My chest squeezed. Ellie took a step closer. I swung the lamp. It hit her shoulder. She stumbled back into the couch. The phone slipped from her hand and clattered onto the carpet. Ellie stared at me. Her face changed finally. Not emptiness. Something like hurt. Like shock. Then her eyes flicked down to the phone. She scrambled for it fast. I lunged too. We both grabbed at it. Our fingers hit. The screen flashed. I saw my own face in the reflection. Pale. Eyes wide. Ellie yanked the phone toward herself. The knife in her other hand lifted. I froze. Ellie's breathing was loud now. She wasn't calm anymore. "You're messing it up," she hissed. "I'm saving you," I said, and I didn't know if I meant it. She laughed, breathless. "Saving?" The knife trembled. The phone in my hand buzzed again. Mr. Foxy Pants. He's lying. He likes it. Show him what he is. Ellie's eyes darted to my phone. She saw the message. She nodded once, like she'd received instructions. She moved. I don't remember thinking. I only remember grabbing the lamp base again and swinging. This time not at Ellie, but at the hallway window. The glass shattered. Cold air hit my face. Ellie screamed, not in fear but in rage. I dove through the broken window frame, scraping my arms and stomach. The outside air was sharp. I landed hard on the bushes under the window and rolled onto the frozen grass. I got up and ran. Behind me, Ellie's voice followed, yelling my name. I didn't turn. I ran to the neighbor's house barefoot, blood dripping from my arms, and pounded on their door until my hands hurt. When Mr. Jacobs opened it, his face went white. I didn't have words. I just kept saying, "Call, call, please call." He dragged me inside and sat me on his couch. His wife brought a towel and pressed it to my arm. The towel turned red. Mr. Jacobs called the police. I heard him say our address. I heard him say, "There's a kid bleeding here. He says his sister." And then his voice dropped. I sat there shaking while the Jacobs living room TV played some game show on mute. In my pocket, my phone vibrated. I had forgotten I still had Ellie's phone. I pulled it out, hands slippery with blood. A new message. Mr. Foxy Pants. Good run. I like when the story gets messy. My heart stopped for half a second. I stared at the words until they blurred. Then another message came. Mr. Foxy Pants. Don't worry. She'll finish without you. I dropped the phone like it was hot. Mrs. Jacobs looked at me. What is it? I couldn't answer. Outside in the distance I heard sirens, and in my head, over and over, I saw the kitchen video. Mom's smile collapsing, Dad's chair falling. I had watched my parents die on a phone screen, and someone I couldn't see had told my sister to keep filming. The police arrived fast. They asked questions, too many, all at once. They looked at my cuts and bruises and asked how I got them. I kept saying Ellie, like it was enough. They drove to our house. I stayed on the Jacobs couch, wrapped in a towel, staring at the phone on the carpet. It buzzed again. I didn't want to touch it. The buzz stopped. Then it buzzed again. Mrs. Jacobs picked it up with 2 fingers, like it was dirty. She looked at the screen and frowned. Someone is messaging you, she said. I swallowed. Don't open it. She hesitated. The phone buzzed again. She opened it anyway. Her face changed. What is it? I whispered. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. She held the phone out. On the screen was a photo. It was taken inside our basement. It showed the concrete floor, the shelves, the old freezer, and in the center of the frame, lit by a harsh flash, were my parents. They were arranged like someone had tried to make them neat. Mom's hair was spread out like a dark fan. Dad's arm was draped over her waist like they were lying together. Their eyes were open. I made a sound that didn't feel like it came from me. Under the photo was a message. Mr. Foxy Pants. Tell your brother thank you for the audience. Mrs. Jacobs dropped the phone. It hit the carpet and kept buzzing. When the police came back to the Jacobs house, their faces were hard. They said they found blood in our kitchen. They said the basement door was locked from the outside. They asked where Ellie was. I said, she's still in the house. They went back. I sat there and stared at the shaking phone on the carpet until a paramedic lifted it and put it in a plastic bag. They took me to the hospital. I had cuts that needed stitches. They cleaned the glass out of my skin. They asked me if I'd taken any drugs. They asked me if I'd hit my head. I kept saying, she did it. She filmed it. He told her. A nurse with tired eyes said, who told her? I said, Mr. Foxy Pants. She blinked slowly, like she thought I was joking. The next day, a detective came to my hospital room. He had a file in his hands and a coffee he didn't drink. He asked me to tell him everything from the beginning. I did. He listened without interrupting, but I could see it in his face. The parts he believed and the parts he didn't. When I mentioned the messages that seemed to know things about our house, he wrote something down. When I mentioned the videos, his jaw tightened. When I said the name Mr. Foxy Pants, he didn't react at all, like he'd already heard it and decided it meant nothing. He asked, did you ever meet this person? No. Did your sister ever meet him in person? I don't know. I don't think so. He nodded and said, "We're doing everything we can." That phrase means nothing. It's what people say when they don't have anything else. They found Ellie 2 days later. Not in the house. Not in the neighborhood. They found her in a storage unit she'd rented with a fake name. The detective told me that part like it was just a detail. Ellie was alive when they found her. She was filming. That was the last thing the detective said before he stopped and looked at me like he was deciding how much truth I could handle. Then he said, "We recovered footage." I felt my throat close. Of what? He didn't answer right away. He said, "Do you want to see it?" I should have said no. I said yes. The detective left and came back with a tablet. He put it on the tray table in front of my bed. His hand hovered over the screen. "If you want me to stop, tell me." I nodded. He pressed play. The video started with Ellie's face filling the frame. She was sitting on the concrete floor of the storage unit. The light was harsh and made her skin look gray. She smiled at the camera. "Hi," she said. Then she turned the camera. Behind her were things. Our things. Mom's purse. Dad's watch. The family photos from the hallway, stacked on the floor. The little ceramic bowl Mom kept keys in. Ellie panned slowly over them like she was showing off a collection. Then she turned the camera back to herself. "I did it," she said. "I cleaned it." She looked to the side like she was listening. Then she nodded. She said, "Yes." I kept recording. The detective paused the video and looked at me. "Someone was on a call with her?" I whispered. "We don't know," he said. He hit play again. Ellie's eyes were fixed on something off screen. She said, "He says you can't come with me." She smiled wide. "That's okay. I'll be special anyway." Then she lifted the camera and aimed it at the storage unit door. The door rattled. A man's voice, distant, said, "Police! Open the door!" Ellie laughed. The detective paused it again. My hands were shaking under the blanket. The detective said, "This is where it gets..." He stopped. "Show me," I said. He hit play. Ellie held the camera on herself again. She whispered, "He says it's time." Then she looked straight into the lens, like she was looking at someone behind it. She said, "Are you watching?" She smiled, and the video ended. It cut off right there. I blinked. "That's it?" The detective's face went tight. "That's the end of the file." I stared at the frozen frame of Ellie's smile. The detective said, "They found her with the phone. She was gone." I swallowed. She killed herself. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He just nodded once. I stared at the screen. Ellie's eyes in the video looked almost relieved. The detective took the tablet away. He said, "We traced the account that messaged her." My heart jumped. "You found him?" He shook his head. "It was routed through multiple services, fake information, disposable numbers. We've got a team on it." I laughed, a short, ugly sound. He looked at me. I said, "He was watching us. He knew our house. He knew everything." The detective held my gaze. "We don't have evidence of that." I felt a cold anger crawl up my spine. "You saw the messages." "We saw some messages," he said. "We saw what the phone had. We don't know what was deleted. We don't know what else your sister shared. People overshare online. A lot." I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, "So he's gone." The detective didn't answer. He stood up, adjusted his jacket, and said, "If you remember anything else, anything at all, call me." Then he left. After he left, I sat in my hospital bed and stared at the blank wall. I thought about Ellie as a kid, sitting on my bedroom floor, asking me to play with her. I thought about Ellie in the kitchen, filming Mom washing dishes. I thought about Ellie's calm face as she held a knife, and I thought about that last message. Thank you for the audience. It took me a long time to understand what made it so terrifying. It wasn't the idea of a cartoon fox. That part was stupid. It was what Ellie wanted to believe. It was the other thing. The account didn't need to be a fox. It didn't need to be anything. It just needed to be someone who knew how to talk to my sister. Someone who liked watching. Someone who never had to leave fingerprints. I lay there and listened to the hospital sounds. Carts rolling, nurses talking, the distant beep of monitors. And I realized that wherever Mr. Foxy Pants was, he was still out there. And he had my sister's videos. He had our house on his screen. He had my parents' last moments. And he had watched me watch them. After it happened, I learned how many people can step into your life without ever asking. Cops, social workers, nurses, teachers who used to barely look at me, neighbors who swore they always had a feeling, people who said they were sorry and then immediately asked questions. They wanted it to make sense. They wanted a straight story they could repeat at dinner without choking on it. I tried to give them one. I sat in clean rooms with bad lighting and told it like a list. Ellie got messages. She believed them. She filmed things. She killed our parents. She died. Someone online pushed her. That's the version that fits on paper. But living inside it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a door getting stuck halfway open. The house was the first thing that stopped being ours. They wouldn't let me back for weeks. When they finally did, it was supervised, like I might steal my own memories. The place smelled like harsh cleaner and stale air. The kitchen floor looked different. Too new in some spots, too dull in others. The hallway where our family pictures used to be was bare, just nail holes and lighter patches on the wall. I stood in my parents' bedroom and waited for the grief to hit. For a second, nothing happened. I just noticed dumb things. Dad's belt still looped over a chair. Mom's lotion on the nightstand. The bed made. It looked like they'd stepped out and left the room behind. The detective hovering in the doorway said, "Take your time." There wasn't any time to take. I filled a trash bag with clothes and grabbed my laptop and a box of odds and ends they hadn't tagged yet. Before we left, I stared at the basement door. It had a new lock. The frame was scratched up in a way I couldn't stop noticing, like someone had worked at it for a long time. I didn't ask how. I didn't want to hear the answer. Ellie's phone was the second thing. I only held it for minutes, but after that it belonged to plastic bags and lab techs and people who talked about data recovery like it was magic. They told me they could trace the account, that they could pull deleted messages, that they could figure out who Mr. Foxy Pants really was. Then they told me what they actually had. A username that blinked in and out. A few messages. A lot of video. They kept most of it from me. I'm not sure if it was kindness or liability. Either way, I didn't fight hard enough. I was still hoping, some stupid, desperate part of me, that something would show up that proved it was fake. There was one clip they did show me later, because it mattered. Ellie sat on her bed holding her phone out, like she was talking to someone just outside the frame. She kept glancing to the side, listening. "He's going to watch it, right?" she asked. Then she smiled. This eager, proud smile I knew from 1,000 moments when she'd run to show our mom a drawing. "Okay," she said. "I'll make it good." That wasn't the worst part. Not the blood. Not even the knife. It was the way she sounded like she was trying to impress someone. The storage unit footage, the one where she died, was mostly missing. The detective said the phone fell when the police forced the door and the recording ended. He said it like that was the whole truth. I didn't ask for more. I didn't want to carry a fuller version of her last moments in my head. Then the internet got hold of it. At first it was local news. Grainy shots of our street. A reporter standing outside yellow tape pretending to look solemn. Then someone leaked the name. Then the cartoon fox detail. And then it turned into a story people could play with. Forums. Clips. Deep dives. People posting drawings of the fox character with blood on his pants and jokes like it was a brand. That was the day I learned there are people who don't even need to be the killer to enjoy it. They just need to watch. I moved in with my aunt, Dad's sister, because there wasn't anywhere else. She tried in the way adults try when they don't know what to do. She bought the cereal I liked. She kept the TV on at night to fill the silence. She asked normal questions and didn't push too hard. But she started locking her phone when she left the room. She started keeping her purse in her bedroom. I noticed. I didn't blame her. I started to hate phones. Every buzz made my stomach drop. Every screen lighting up felt like a hand reaching for my throat. I tried to act normal anyway. I'd sit at my aunt's kitchen table and eat cereal that tasted like cardboard and pretend I could follow conversations. I'd watch her talk and keep thinking about how easy it would be for a person to type 2 lines and ruin a whole day. At night, I'd set my phone face down on the dresser like that would help. Sometimes I'd turn it off and still imagine it buzzing. Sometimes I'd wake up and check the screen before I even knew I was awake. I hated that I did it. I hated that my body learned the habit so fast. And then, like the world wanted to prove I was right, I got a message. Unknown number. You looked better with the lamp in your hands. It took me a second to understand what that meant. The lamp. The one I'd grabbed when I ran. I hadn't said that out loud to anyone except in the mess of my first statement. And even then I didn't think I'd use that exact word. I stared at the text until my eyes hurt. I didn't respond. Then another message. Don't pretend you don't know. I woke my aunt up and made her call the police. The officers were polite in that tired way. The kind of polite that says this is probably nothing. One of them said it could be a prank. They told me to block the number. They left. And right after the door shut, my phone buzzed again. Not from the blocked number, from an app I didn't recognize, a simple fox head icon. My hands went cold. I tapped it. A chat opened. Mr. Foxy Pants. First message, I'm sorry you didn't like the show. I turned to my aunt and tried to speak, but nothing came out right. The chat updated. Tell Karen hi. My aunt actually stepped back like the phone had slapped her. I typed because my body was moving faster than my brain. Leave us alone. The reply came immediately. You left her alone. You left her so alone. That line hit me hard enough I had to sit down. I typed, this is your fault. It's your fault too. You watched. I hated that my stomach twisted like he'd landed something. Because he had. I asked why. He answered like he was explaining a hobby. Because she wanted to be seen. Because she wanted someone to understand. Because she was brave. My aunt told me to throw the phone away. I should have. But another message appeared. You want to see more? Then, I saved everything. Then a file. A video thumbnail. The kitchen. Different angle. My mouth went dry. My aunt grabbed my wrist. Don't, she whispered. I played it anyway. The video had sound. I heard my mom humming while she washed dishes. That sound was worse than seeing blood. It was so normal, so alive. My mom turned and said, Honey, what do you need? Ellie's voice answered from behind the camera. Just a second. My mom laughed, soft. Okay. Ellie stepped into frame. She raised the knife. My mom said Ellie's name once, like she couldn't believe it. After that, I can't explain it without making it feel like a scene. It wasn't a scene. It was my family. I will tell you what I can't forget. My dad tried to stop her. My dad begged. I didn't know dads could beg. And somewhere in the middle of it, the oven glass caught a reflection of Ellie's phone screen. A chat bubble popped up. Good. Closer. I paused it on that frame and stared until my vision went fuzzy. My phone buzzed over the paused image. You see? She did great. I threw my phone across the kitchen. It hit the wall. It didn't crack. The screen stayed lit. My aunt used a towel to pick it up, like it was something dead, and dumped it into the metal trash bin outside. The phone buzzed under the lid like a trapped insect. We drove to a hotel that night. My aunt didn't sleep. She sat by the window staring at the parking lot. I lay on the bed and kept hearing my mom's voice in that first moment. Ellie, like it was calling her back. In the morning, my aunt called the detective. He came with someone else and a bag for electronics. He listened, face hard, and took the phone out of the trash bin. He also took my phone. He looked at the fox icon like it offended him. I've never seen this app, he said. It wasn't there before, I told him. He asked if Ellie ever used my phone. I said no. That was a lie. Ellie used my phone the way little siblings use your stuff when you don't want to deal with the argument. She'd grab it to play music while she got ready, to look up a craft video, to take a picture when hers was dead. It never felt like access. It felt like her being annoying. Saying no felt like one more way of protecting her, which is ridiculous, because she didn't need protecting anymore. But the truth made me feel stupid, like I'd left the door unlocked and then acted surprised someone walked in. Ellie had used it all the time, but in that moment, I didn't want to hand over another piece of her that I'd missed. After that, it got messy. They couldn't keep the video file I'd opened. They said it looked like it streamed and vanished. They said the app behaved like it was designed to leave as little behind as possible. They said a lot of words that sounded like a person describing a ghost using computer terms. They tried to give me practical advice. New phone, new number, a cheap flip phone that couldn't run apps. I carried it for a week and felt like I was holding a toy. The whole time I kept thinking, if he could get onto my smartphone without me downloading anything, a flip phone wasn't going to save me. It just meant I'd be blindsided when it came from somewhere else. The message thread disappeared from my phone the same way it appeared, like it had never been there. From their angle, it turned into something slippery. From my angle, it was simple. Someone could reach me. Someone could show me things. Someone could make them disappear. And nobody could stop it. We moved around for a while. Not dramatic fleeing in the night stuff. Just changing where we slept whenever my aunt couldn't stand the walls anymore. Her house, a hotel, a friend's spare room. My aunt started doing little rituals like they were safety. She covered the webcam on her laptop with tape. She unplugged the smart TV. She made me promise not to use public Wi-Fi. She said it like rules could fix it. I tried therapy because everyone said I should. The therapist was kind in a careful way, like she didn't want to bump into anything sharp. She asked me how I felt about Ellie. I told her I didn't know. She asked if I felt guilty. I told her yes. And then I hated myself for saying it because guilt made it sound like I'd done something. One time she said, "Sometimes after trauma, our brains look for patterns. They try to make chaos feel predictable." I almost laughed. Predictable would have been a stranger at the door. Predictable would have been a person you can see. The threat wasn't a person at the door. It was the feeling that our lives were still on someone's screen. A few weeks later at school, I opened my locker and found a sheet of paper. A drawing. Mr. Foxy Pants, the sharper, uglier version Ellie had been sent. Pants, grin, eyes too small. In his hand, a phone. On the phone, stick figures of my parents on the kitchen floor. Under it, in neat handwriting that wasn't Ellie's, "Keep watching." I ripped it up. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely tear it. When I showed the pieces to the detective later, he stared at them for a long time. "So someone is local," he said. I wanted to believe that. Local meant catchable. But the paper didn't prove anything. Anyone could have slid it into my locker if they wanted me to feel watched. After the funeral and all the paperwork, my aunt asked if I wanted to leave. A new city, a new start. I said yes because I didn't know what else to say. For a while it almost worked. New apartment, new hallways, different faces, different grocery store. I started doing small normal things again. I walked to a corner shop after school. I learned the names of a couple teachers. I even laughed once in a cafeteria line and then felt shocked like I'd heard myself from far away. But I also got jumpy about anything that felt like an audience. If someone stared at me too long on the train, my skin crawled. If a kid pointed a phone camera in my direction, even for a selfie, I'd turn my head like the lens could burn. I stopped checking my phone every few minutes. Then one day I noticed a small sticker on my laptop. A fox. Wearing pants. I didn't remember putting it there. My aunt swore she hadn't. I peeled it off. Underneath, written in thin marker, I followed you. I stood there holding the sticker between my fingers for a long time. It wasn't even a good sticker. Cheap vinyl. The kind you get from a vending machine. My aunt kept asking, "Are you sure it wasn't there before?" And I kept saying no, because I needed her to understand it wasn't about the sticker. It was about the message. It was about someone deciding they could step into our new place whenever they felt like it. That night, a message appeared on my phone. Different app, different number, same voice. I'm proud of you. Then, you're learning. My skin went cold, not because I believed in a cartoon fox, but because I understood what he was doing. He didn't need Ellie anymore. Ellie was just the first one who worked. And if he'd found her soft spot, her hunger to be special, then he could find someone else's. Maybe he already had. Maybe there were other families, other kitchens, other phones held up like altars. Another message popped up. Send me something. I stared at it. I hated that my thumb hovered. Not because I wanted to, because my brain had learned the shape of the trap. I put the phone down and went to the kitchen. My aunt was washing dishes and humming under her breath. The sound made my throat tighten. She looked over her shoulder. "What's wrong?" I lied. "Nothing," I said. I went back to my room and sat on the floor. A few minutes later, a new notification appeared. Not a message, a photo. I opened it. It was a screenshot from Ellie's phone, one I'd never seen. Ellie's last message in that chat, "I'm ready." The reply, then ended. Under that was a line Ellie had typed, but never sent. A draft. Will he still like me if I'm gone? My eyes burned. My throat closed. That wasn't the Ellie the news talked about. That was my sister. Still a kid. Still trying to earn love from something that didn't have any. A message appeared. She asked. I answered. Something in me went quiet. Not calm. Not healing. Just a hard decision I didn't have words for. I typed one last thing. You didn't win. You're just a coward behind a screen. My hands were steady when I typed it, which scared me. It felt like stepping into the middle of the street and daring a car to hit you. Part of me wanted him to answer. Part of me wanted to be proven right. Part of me wanted a fight, because a fight at least has rules. The reply came a few seconds later. I'm not behind the screen. I'm inside it. Then the thread vanished. The icon vanished. Everything gone like it had never been there. I sat on the floor holding a normal phone in a normal room in a normal city, listening to my aunt move around in the kitchen. Outside, people walked dogs. Cars rolled past. Someone laughed. Life kept going, and that was the part that felt unbearable. No arrest, no clean ending, no moment where someone said, "We found him." Just the knowledge that somewhere out there, someone had my family's worst moments saved like a souvenir. Sometimes I think about the way Ellie used to talk about Mr. Foxy Pants like he was kind, like he was funny, like he was her friend. I think about how easy it is to slide from, "This is my favorite character," to "This person understands me," when you're 14 and you feel stupid and lonely and you want something to pick you. And I think about what it means that he never had to do the messy part. He never had to lift the knife. He never had to clean the floor. He never had to smell it. He just had to type. Sometimes I try to picture him as one person, a single sick guy who hides behind accounts. Other times I can't, because what scares me most now isn't even the idea of him. It's the idea of an audience. How easy it is to click. How easy it is to watch. How hard it is to stop. And how, once somebody learns what you will look at, they can hold your eyes open from anywhere. That's what my sister gave him. That's what he wanted from me, and I still don't know if I've really stopped giving it to him.